Ukraine moved to attract defense industrialists to produce weapons on its territory. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has inaugurated an international forum in Kyiv dedicated to the defense industry in the hope of attracting manufacturers capable of producing weapons in Ukraine and building an arsenal against Russia. Since the start of the Russian invasion in 2022, Ukraine has been very dependent on Western arms deliveries for its war effort. Ukraine has therefore brought together 250 defense sector companies from some 30 countries in Kyiv on Friday for the forum, with the aim of convincing them to establish themselves in the war-torn country. We are interested in localizing the production of equipment necessary for our defense and advanced defense systems used by our soldiers, Zelensky said in his introductory speech on Saturday. The objective, according to him, is to build a modern and powerful arsenal at a time when Russia is also striving to increase its military production capabilities. Zelensky promised attendees that, if they joined the so-called Alliance of Defense Industries, they would receive the perks of a special economic regime. A special defense fund will also be created for military production, financed in particular by the profits from the sale of confiscated Russian assets. The subject of relocating defense industries to Ukraine was raised during Zelensky's recent visit to the United States. There, it was reported that Kyiv and Washington would begin negotiations on the topic in the near future. Ukraine has claimed to have advanced in a successful operation in the direction of Bakhmut. Ukrainian army tests new Western weapons as NATO boosts supplies daily motion. Kyiv's State Border Guard Service released a video in which one of its fighters said their units, together with the armed forces of Ukraine, conducted a successful advance and captured a strategically important place on Donetsk region's map. The video was shared on Friday, but no information was provided when the operation took place. Ukraine War. 5 things Kyiv wants from the U.S. amid its counter-offensive. Ukraine will receive M1 Abrams tanks for counter-offensive, says U.S. Russia claims airstrike successes. Russia's defense ministry on Friday released its weekly briefing claiming the Russian army carried out 9 group strikes by long-range precision weapons and unmanned aerial vehicles from 24 to 29 September. The strikes hit ammunition depots, military technical hardware of the Ukrainian armed forces, saboteurs' training sites, and accommodation points for Ukrainian servicemen and foreign mercenaries, said Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov. As a result of the strikes, the control center of the International Legion formation, 2 large arsenals with weapons and ammunition were destroyed, and the supply of foreign-made weapons and logistical support for Ukrainian troops operating in Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia directions were disrupted, he added. Wagner commander takes charge of volunteers. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered one of the top commanders of the Wagner military contractor to take charge of volunteer units fighting in Ukraine. A statement that signaled the Kremlin's effort to keep using the mercenaries after the death of their chief, Yevgeny Prigozhin. In remarks released by Russian state TV on Friday, Putin told Andrei Troshev, who was one of Wagner's senior officers, that his task is to deal with forming volunteer units that could perform various combat tasks, primarily in the zone of the special military operation, a term the Kremlin uses for its military campaign in Ukraine. The meeting appeared to reflect the Kremlin's desire to redeploy some Wagner mercenaries to the front line in Ukraine following their brief mutiny in June, and Prigozhin's suspicious plane crash death on the 23rd of August. The private army that once counted tens of thousands of troops is a precious asset the Kremlin wants to exploit. Troshev is a retired military officer who has played a leading role in Wagner since its creation in 2014 and has faced European Union sanctions over his role in Syria as the group's executive director. Wagner mercenaries have played a key role in Moscow's military campaign in Ukraine, spearheading the capture of the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut in May. After months of fierce fighting, Kyiv's troops are now seeking to reclaim it as part of their counter-offensive.
Zelensky pays respects Babi Yar massacre victims. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky paid his respects to the victims of Babi Yar massacre in Kiev on Friday, as the country marked the 82nd anniversary of one of the most infamous mass slaughters of World War II. Babi Yar, a ravine in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, is where nearly 34,000 Jews were killed within 48 hours in 1941, when the city was under Nazi occupation. The killing was carried out by SS troops along with local collaborators. Zelensky placed candles during a service at a memorial in the Ukrainian capital, before thanking members of the Jewish community for hosting the event. US urges Serbia to pull back troops from Kosovo border. The White House warned that Belgrade had deployed tanks and artillery near the border after deadly clashes in northern Kosovo last week. Meanwhile, NATO said it was reinforcing its peacekeeping force in Kosovo. The United States on Friday called on Serbia to pull its forces back from the border with Kosovo. The White House warned that Belgrade had deployed tanks and artillery near the border since deadly clashes erupted at a monastery in northern Kosovo last week. What did the US say about Serbia's deployment near Kosovo? We are monitoring a large Serbian military deployment along the border with Kosovo, White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters. That includes an unprecedented staging of advanced Serbian artillery, tanks, mechanized infantry units, he said. We believe that this is a very destabilizing development. Kirby said the reason for the military buildup was unclear, but that it was a matter of concern.
Northern Kosovo. On Sunday, a group of Serb gunmen in uniform barricaded themselves inside a monastery and engaged in a shootout with members of the Kosovo police. When it was over, one police officer and 3 gunmen were dead. A 4th body was found the following day. Kosovo, along with many Western countries, called the incident a terrorist attack. For Serbia, it was a day of silence. On Monday, several armored vehicles belonging to the Serbian army were seen near the border. Speaking at a press conference on Sunday evening, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić blamed Kosovo's prime minister and government, saying that local Kosovo Serbs could take no more of Kurti's terror. Vučić condemned the killing of the police officer, but not the clash itself.
Jedini krivac za sve ovo što se zbiva na severu Kosova i Metohije. Jedini krivac. Doduše ima malo i krivice onih koji ga pomažu u tome, a to je deo međunarodne zajednice. To je Albin Kurti. Jedini krivac.
When tension arises, Serbia is usually quick to react and declare a state of emergency, but not this time. Some say President Vučić has lost control. Some see him as the guilty party. Rada Trajković, a Serbian politician originally from Kosovo and a well-known opponent of the Serbian president, doesn't believe that President Vučić knew anything about what happened and thinks he is protecting himself.
To bi zaista bilo strašno da se dokaže da je Srbija najdirektnije učestvovala u nečemu što je i što se sve više definiše kao terorizam. Ubiti policajca na radnom mestu zaista je nešto za što se odgovara. I on normalno odriče se Srba sa Kosova i odgovornost prebacuje na Srbe sa severa.
Military analyst Aleksandar Radić thinks that the president may have lost control of his own people and was not completely aware of what was going on.
I on očigledno ovaj put nije radikalizio situaciju. Jasno mu je da je problem zapravo u njegovim radovima, u činjenici da je napravio delivery unit koje se prerasle u neku vrstu feuda unutar srpskog društva i da postoje ljudi koji smatruju da su teme vezane za Kosovo njihove i da imaju pravo da drže paralelne informacije.
Bojan Elek, a political and security expert originally from northern Kosovo but now living in the Serbian capital Belgrade, thinks that this is not good for either Serbia or President Vučić, especially when it comes to dialogue.
Nažalost, mislim da ovo neće doprineti dijalogu u onom delu dijaloga koji treba da radi na pronalaženju bržih rješenja za službu Srba Albanaca. Dakle, ono što se zove pomirenje, sad je dijalog već preko godinu dana u nekom, kako se kaže, upravljanju krizom, dakle, management, dakle, svi međunarodni posrednici, ali pretpostavljam da će biti stavljen i na jednu i na drugu stranu da dođe do deeskalacije, o tome se zapravo sada najviše priče. Mislim da smo mnogo daleko od nalaženja nekog rješenja dok god se bavimo bezbednosnim situacijama i bezbednosnim problemima koje imamo ovih godinu dana, najmanje ako ne duže.
Serbian media reported that some of the escaped Serb gunmen were treated in a hospital in Serbia. Kosovo has demanded that they be handed over, but it doesn't look likely that this will happen anytime soon.